This is True, and you are listening to From Nothing to Profit.
Welcome to From Nothing to Profit, a photographer's podcast with Matt and Kaya, where each week they talk to photographers about what is working in their business now so you can swipe those ideas and grow your business faster.
Welcome, everyone. We are super excited to have True. And how do you say your last name?
So it's Moua.
Okay. True Moua here today. And I have seen her work online for the last couple of years, and she is a phenomenal photographer. And I've seen that she does a lot of education. And so we are super excited to have her here today to share with us about her business. I've only seen your shooting in natural light. She's based in Western Wisconsin and specializes in creative fine art senior portraits. And you have a love for Iceland too. Is that correct?
I do, yes. Well, thank you guys. Thanks so much for having me here. I'm super excited to be here. But yes, I just shoot natural light. I do have like studio equipment, but it just isn't a demand, at least in my area. So yeah, everything I do is natural light.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm excited to have you on here because you're one of the first interviews where Kaya and I both didn't really know you before this podcast. You know, typically I'm like, you know, people that I say, Kaya, we should interview this person. Kaya's like, I don't know that person. I'm like, well, I do. And it's perfect, you know, but you're one of the first people that like, both of us are going to be learning from you right now while you're doing your interview, which I'm really excited about.
Oh, good. Well, I hope you learned something. I don't know how much help I'll be, but I'm excited to be here.
So anything else that you want to share? I mean, so like Kaya said, you're from Wisconsin, natural light photographer. Right. Any other things that you would want to share, your family, anything like that?
Well, you know, I actually, before photography, I worked in dental for actually 16 years and was actually not looking for, you know, a new career or anything like that. And our son was approaching his senior year, actually. And so I kind of fell into photography, really. I just, you know, we purchased this camera on Craigslist, and like, you know, everybody else that doesn't really understand photography, you think like you're going to buy this amazing camera and it's just going to take amazing pictures for you. And so, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we thought. I'm like, well, just buy this camera and we'll take great pictures and we'll have, you know, amazing pictures for our scrapbook and whatnot. And of course, I quickly found out that that is not true. If you don't know how to shoot manual, camera does not focus and take great pictures at night during football games and, you know, in basketball courts and whatnot. So I started Googling, you know, how to use this camera and was finding that I needed to learn how to shoot manual. And so kind of from there, it basically just kind of took off. I took a little class on how to shoot manual and really just was falling in love with the whole process. And one thing led to the next. And all of a sudden, you know, in a year, I was shooting clients full time and then launched my business about a year and a half after. So it just kind of all happened really quickly. But yeah, I mean, we've got 3 kids, obviously our son now. So I've been doing this for I picked up my camera in 2012 and kind of started playing around then and shooting clients towards the end of 2012 and 2013, really, and then launched in 2014. So a few years now. And yeah, I mean, I, you know, dabbled a little bit in everything in the beginning. I think like most photographers probably do, and found that my passion was really with teens, and that's kind of what I focus on. I mainly shoot, majority of my clients are girls, but I do shoot boys as well. I just don't get a ton of, you know, bookings with boys. But yeah, that's basically.
That's great.
Yeah.
You're answering questions that I've always had. I was like, okay, so I think because you kind of came out of the womb being an actual artist and not you. I know. I'm sure you can look back and go, oh, that was terrible.
Right.
I felt like the very first images I saw of yours were, you know, just showed a lot of mastery and a lot of intention. Like it looks to me like you kind of, you know what you want, you know what you're going for, you have really high standards. Mm-hmm. And so, that makes sense because I was like, where have I been? I haven't seen you, you know, I didn't see your work before 2014, and that may be why.
You weren't
putting it out there. Yeah. So how many, like, do you shoot a lot of seniors, or how how does your business look?
In the beginning, I think this is probably true with everybody too. You kind of just do everything and you do as much as you can. And I quickly learned that was not manageable. So every year I feel like I cut back a little bit more. And this past year now I shot 42 seniors, and my goal really is 35. And I kind of in the Midwest here, it seems to be true with majority of the Midwest, but at least in my area, I have a really short time to shoot high school seniors, really. So, we have deadlines and our kids get to use their senior portraits for the yearbook. And so most of our deadlines are September and October. And most kids don't want to, start having senior portraits done until they're actually going to be a senior. So most of my bookings are June through September, October. And that's kind of it. I mean, after that, it's, there's not much of a demand for senior portraits. And plus it's cold here. So, November is not that pretty. It's usually pretty. Everything's dead and wet. And then winter, of course, is beautiful, but really hard to shoot in. So I kind of, mainly just shoot from June to October.
Okay. And then I've noticed that you do like multi-season sessions. Is that a lot of what you do, or is that just specific? Okay.
So that's something that I kind of started in the really, kind of in the beginning, just trying to find other ways to really create art, in a time that obviously like I'm not at a huge demand, for bookings, and also was looking for a way to, stay active and relevant on my Instagram or social media. At the time when I started, it was just Facebook. I don't think I got onto Instagram until 2016. But, so I was finding that, I was trying to be creative and still like, wanting to play with my camera in these off seasons that were not really a demand. And then that just kind of quickly led to people actually wanting to shoot those seasons. And so I thought, well, if I can offer something where my clients could potentially have a shoot every season, that fills my schedule. I'm still making money on those off months. And so I launched this in 2015 was this, what I call all season session. And it's an hour shoot per season. The shoots are shorter. So they are about an hour shoot. And the girls only get 2 outfits. Because in the end, like they're going to have plenty to choose from. So, and the kids and the parents love it. They love it because it gives them a chance to be able to like capture their child kind of throughout their senior year. Because I hear so many times from parents, like, it's amazing how much she's changed just from her very first session with you her very last session. So that kind of, started to be a big thing. And parents were really then marketing, it that way for me. And so it's become a really popular session of mine. And I love it because I love shorter sessions. I love just shooting right before sunset. So to be able to like just go out that, hour and a half before sunset and get everything that I want in that beautiful light, that's like everything I want. So it's perfect. I think, with my longer sessions, it's like, I definitely can shoot any time of the day. I mean, I've, trained myself to do that, but I don't love it. So I find a lot of times like I'm just not feeling really inspired and I'm just trying to get through the first hour of the shoot until that beautiful light comes. And then I'm like, okay, now let's do this. So it's been great. I've really enjoyed it.
That's awesome. I'm looking at your Instagram because the very first thing I pulled up, I saw all these winter shoots and I was like, oh, that's really interesting. But that makes sense. If you're doing multiple seasons, why you have so many, like all the seasons. And then I was looking, I was just scrolling through, and the image that you posted on February 3rd, this girl in a yellow dress with the hat, with this like straw hat thing, that hat is amazing.
It was like $9 on some website. So very cheap.
That's so cool. So everyone should check out her Instagram and go, scroll through it because it's all amazing.
Thank you.
That hat thing is wild. I've never seen it.
It's something, it's something fun. And just to be able to add like a tiny little piece or two to a piece, like a dress or an outfit that they have. I mean, it really can pull things together. So I enjoy all of that. I mean, styling is probably my next favorite thing to do besides, shooting. So yeah, it's great.
And so are you shooting, outside of Wisconsin a lot as well, or mostly there?
So once a year, I try to offer a destination shoot for my seniors.
Okay.
And initially it started out with offering it just to my senior model team. And I currently do not have a senior model team anymore. And I don't have any plans of, having one in the future. And there's many different reasons for that. I mean, I think for me, just because I have such a short time to shoot, my bookings are usually filled by about spring. And so my girls just weren't really benefiting from what they could benefit from if they were referring clients. Because by the time I photographed them and they had their images, my schedule was already full. So I felt like it was kind of a disadvantage to them, and which is the reason why I've taken it, away. But I still do, fun like creative shoots, and now I'll pick models from like my actual clients. Cause it's great. Like they already chose me. I know they love my work, and I know they're gonna, market for me. So what better model to choose than your own paying clients? But the kids really love it, and they look forward to like where I'm going to go the next year. So I've gotten just a ton of DMs in the last probably few weeks, just like, when are you going to release, your next destination? Like, we're ready to sign up. And so I try to offer one destination a year, and then I do a lot of workshops during my off season as well. And I love to teach. I love to help people grow, and so to be able to do those in areas where it's not like we were negative 35, you guys, like a month ago. So
Literally.
that is cold. Literally, like
Oh.
that's not even included with the wind chill. I believe it was negative 69 or something.
Yeah.
Insane.
That's like frostbite in a minute.
Right. Luckily, I was stuck in California at the time, but to be able to, and just to be able to shoot in a different area, it just really helps re-inspire me. And so I try to, set workshops up in areas not Wisconsin. And that allows me to travel and explore new backdrops and whatnot. And then, I am been fortunate to, have opportunities to speak on different platforms as well, that usually they pick beautiful, sunny places as well. So that allows me to, add some of that to my portfolio.
That's awesome. Okay. So the first question we have is, like, what's working now? So like, our podcast is always just trying to give photographers, like maybe just like a little piece of information of something that they could explore. So what do you think's working now, or tell a story of what's working now in your business that you'd want to share with our audience?
That's working. As in like booking clients, or?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Anything. Yeah. Like, or what you think. Yeah. I mean, it could be about booking clients or something that you're doing right now, as simple as, not doing a model program or something like that you just think like, yeah, this is actually helping me succeed or helping me stay sane or whatever.
Okay. Well, I recently just spoke at Click Away. It's a conference put on by Click and Moms. But a big topic while I was there with some of the attendees was Instagram story, and how they were not posting because they were trying to kind of get like that perfect. I mean, I was sitting at a table, with 6 other ladies that had attended the workshop or the conference. And, they were trying to post on Instagram, but they're editing the image and they're trying to get it perfect. And they're trying to think of the perfect caption. And I had to just stop them, because Instagram story, I think if you're not using it, you need to, because all of our kids, that's probably, at least in my area, I don't know about you guys, but in my area, the number one platform for my kids is Instagram. That's the one that everybody says they're on. So, parents are still on Facebook. Kids are definitely still on Snapchat, but the reach on Snapchat is virtually like nothing.
Yeah.
So if you're not using Instagram stories, like, you need to use Instagram stories. But what the kids want to see, and this is, so every now and then I pull kids that I've photographed, and I do just kind of a little focus group. So we just go grab coffee or, lunch or whatever. We just kind of talk about things. And one thing they told me is like, they love Instagram stories. They're on it all the time. I mean, they're posting all the time. They're watching other stories all the time, but they want to see like real things. They want to see like who you are. So Instagram stories is, it's there for you to market, to tell your potential clients like who you are and what you have to offer, but they want to see real things. Kids are not, they know a lot more than we think they know. And they definitely, they know when something is fake, and when something is almost like too curated. Like your Instagram, you can definitely curate. I think, Instagram is there to be pretty and probably should be curated to a certain point. But your stories it's like reality TV, right? I mean, we're all caught up in reality TV because most of it is real. And for some reason, even though it's silly, like we just are drawn to it and then we just get almost addicted to it and we want to just keep watching because we want to know what's going to happen next. And Instagram stories is kind of the same way. So I, just had to stop them and tell them like they're not looking for you to post perfect pictures on Instagram stories. I mean, they're going to click out of there because they know it's not real. When your picture is already perfectly edited and, you're in this amazing light and everything, like they know it's not real. They want to see who you really are. It's their way of connecting with you and being able to feel like, they know who you are. And I think that for sure, like has been working for me. I mean, my kids, when they show up, they know not exactly, but they already have an idea of who I am. And because Instagram stories, like I use it so big for all the behind the scenes, like the reality of it all, having, I show the girls coming in the way they are, kind of the whole process, the behind the scenes, straight out of camera, and just real, like in the moment, and to be able to like post right away, because the girls are like, I post straight out of camera before the kids even like get in their car. So they know like these images are, real, and they're telling their friends about it. And so when they're coming to their shoot, like their friends are waiting to watch them on my story.
Yeah.
So it's, that I think it's just been great. It's been great for me every time I, post, the engagement on my stories is a lot more than the engagement I actually get on my feed.
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny because that is so true. Like our girls this summer they cared more about what we were putting on their story. And, they were watching and they were watching their own story during the session.
Yeah.
Each time
they love that.
Are closed, they're paying attention. So I get nervous, and I know that you need to do it, but I do not want to put my face on my story. Like I think, I'm going to have to do my hair and my makeup and get in good light. And
yeah.
I feel embarrassed about like, what am I going to put out there? But I just was looking at yours and I've seen it before. You put like who you are and what you're eating and all that kind of stuff on there. Like, do you have what would be a strategy that you would suggest?
I think, of course I say like be real, but also be intentional, think about what you're posting and why you're posting it. I show food because that is definitely part of me. Like all my kids know it and I just love food. So I am always posting food, and it's funny because my moms will come and they say like, oh, we just love watching your story because we love all the food you're eating. Mm-hmm. But definitely being intentional about what you're posting as well. Like, kids, even though they want to see like who you are and what you have to offer, like they really could care less if you just bought 10 Louis Vuitton bags, So
I
like
don't know. They might be impressed with that.
Well, they might be. But like I will post, like let's say I posted an image of a suitcase full of my makeup that I was packing for I don't even remember what trip this was now, for a trip. And I posted it not really just to show that I have a suitcase full of makeup, but it's to show that I do makeup for my clients and that it is, it's something that we offer. So again, like, even though it was just like in the moment, not really put together or beautiful or anything like that, the whole purpose of it was to educate my clients. So yeah, definitely being more intentional about what you're shooting. And I don't love being in front of the camera either, Kaya. Like it's something that, I'm always like, okay, just take a really far back shot, do a video back here, but just get a corner of me and my hand and my camera. And I'm trying to be better about that as well, because I know that, and I know it's important for our, potential clients or our audience to see kind of who we are, but, it's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, on that note, let's just take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Hey everyone, tell me if this sounds familiar. You look at your calendar and notice you need clients now. So you do a little marketing and get some phone calls. You get busy helping those new clients. They schedule sessions, they place orders, and life is good. But once they're done, your calendar is empty again. The reason is you didn't have time to market while you were busy. Sometimes your business feels like a roller coaster. And let me tell you something, it is. And believe me, you're not alone. Photographers everywhere have the same problem. But I have some great news. Matt's business, Allison Ragsdale Photography, after years of trial and error, has cracked the code. It works so well, he's created a new class all about it. It's called Get Clients Now, a dead, simple approach to getting photography clients. Everyone at From Nothing to Profit is excited to share this info with you because this system helped Matt and Allison book hundreds of clients this year at their studio. And the best part about this system is that it's simple to set up and it works while you're sleeping. No hard selling or creepy marketing. All you have to do is help your clients answer their most pressing questions. Clients love the system and say it is the #1 reason they book with Matt and Allison. If you're interested in learning more about this system, go to photopodcast.co/simple. Matt has created a short free video that introduces this system. If you like what you hear, podcaster listeners get an exclusive discount on the full class. So make sure you go to photopodcast.co/simple and sign up for the free video. It will help you book more clients now and create the business you've always wanted.
So the next question we have is, what is one thing that you are most fired up about in our industry today, besides Instagram stories?
Oh my goodness. Okay. So you know what? I was looking through everything and trying to think about what I'm most fired up about. And honestly could not think of anything. Is that awful?
It could be something positive or negative.
That's good. So here's another way I think about it. Like when you think of the industry, what is something that you like hold true about it, or where do you think it's going, or something like that, or maybe changes that are happening?
I definitely think there is a change that's happening, and I've been hearing from a lot of photographers who are kind of in a little panic about it all. We're just in a different world now. Like I know when I started, there were videos and stuff like that online that could help me learn, but now it's so easy to access. There's education everywhere. And so virtually anybody can pick up a camera and learn to shoot. Whether they're going to be amazing or not is, going to depend on the individual themselves. But a lot of kids are, picking up cameras and they're amazing little photographers. And, but they don't have the business aspect of it, and they might not be in it for long, and there are so many amazing photographers who are producing amazing content, but they don't have an actual business because they can't book paying clients. And so when photographers are, coming to me and are in a panic about kind of the shift they're noticing and that they're not booking as many clients, like the only thing I can say is that you just have to continue doing who you are. You have to find what makes you original and what makes you special. And then you have to deliver with every single client every time. Like, I don't think I'll ever come to a point where I feel like, oh, I'm good enough. Like, I don't need to try anymore. I mean, every day I'm continually, finding ways to market, finding the next big thing. What's the new platform the kids are on? I mean, you just have to keep up with it every day. So, I think that's definitely something that I've noticed is the big shift. But for me, because I feel like I offer something different, something that nobody else can offer, at least in my area, because nobody can be you. Only you can be you. And that's just who I am. I mean, from, as a person, as a photographer, everything. So I feel like that is definitely what's worked for me, and it's kept my schedule, busy. Yeah.
No, that's all perfect. That makes complete sense for sure.
Yeah. And I think, True, what you were saying is people, it's what's funny is being in this business for 25 years, there's a new round of competition that comes up, every few years, and people get really worried about it. Mm-hmm. And what you've done with your business is a perfect example of how to deal with it at any point, is creating something that is so you and so different that no one else is offering that same thing. You kind of have done created a blue ocean for yourself. So, that's really good. So before you became a photographer, you kind of told the story earlier. Was there anything that was holding you back from being a full-time photographer?
When I, started shooting and was really booking clients, and I honestly was working 2 full-time jobs, and it took me to really almost have a complete breakdown, because I was getting 2 hours of sleep, between my my one full-time job, and my photography full-time now was a hobby and turned into a quick full-time job. But, knowing that you have this guaranteed paycheck, every 2 weeks that is going to pay the mortgage, is going to buy the groceries, like that's something that's really hard to let go of. And photography, I mean, or any kind of small business that you're going to start on your own, I mean, you're definitely going to take that risk. Like, am I going to book the same amount of clients the next year or next month? Am I, going to be able to pay my bills? Like, that was something really scary to think about when I was like, do I let go of this job that I've been doing for 16 years that I love and definitely makes the money that I need to make, and take this huge leap of faith and see if it's going to work or not. And so, and I'll be honest, like I definitely had to cut back on some things in our life in order to take that big jump just in case it didn't work out. I mean, I didn't know. Yes, my schedule was booked for the following year. I was making really good money, and it made sense. I mean, I was probably making 10 times the amount of money I was making in dental. And I tell this story every time because when I started photography, because I started it with just my kids and I didn't know what I was doing and I was not educated in photography, and photography itself was not important in my culture. I didn't grow up, having professional pictures done. I didn't know a whole lot about it. And so when I started having people reach out to me and was like, can I book you for a session? I didn't know what to charge. I had no idea. And I don't recommend this to anybody who's starting a business, but I just Googled, other studios in town, and I was like, okay, they're charging $150 a session. That's what I'm going to charge. I'm going to charge $150 a session. And then, and then my client was like, okay, well, we want to buy this and this and that. And I'm like, I have no idea. So I, again, Googled it, and okay, well, they charge, $100 for an 8x10. I'm going to charge $100 for an 8x10. And that's how I started my business, which is really, really crazy. However, it probably worked to my benefit, because if I didn't do that, I probably would have done what I hear a lot of other photographers do is, I'm going to be a shoot and burn, and I'm going to charge $100, and you're going to get your shoot and all your digitals. And it was easier for me to really raise my prices pretty quickly because I never actually started out low, which I didn't know at the time. I had no idea. It was the more I did it, obviously, and I started to educate myself, that I realized like, oh, I'm actually doing really good for just starting out. But I'm sorry, I have no idea where I was going with that story.
You did so good. You did so good. So
Perfect.
you were saying that what was holding you back is you were afraid of making of not having enough money.
Oh yeah. So
but yeah.
So I mean, I was definitely. I mean, I was making a lot more money than I was making. Working my full-time dental job, and so financially, it made sense. And then I really had to just sit down and think about what was like make me want to get up every day. And what I realized was the one thing that was making me not want to get up was to go to my 8 to 5 dental job. Like all I wanted to do and all I thought about was getting done with my jobs. I could go to my next photo shoot and I could, create something. So yeah, I mean, I had to just really make that, make that choice. And I'm glad that I did, but that definitely held me back, not knowing if I would book. And every year it's the same. I mean, every January, I think I still have that same fear. Like, am I going to book up this year? But that's good. I think it's important that we don't ever think we're, too great, because you just never know. So you got to keep, the drive going. You got to keep, hustling every single year.
Yeah, you had a great Google. Whatever you were Googling, that's fantastic. You could have been led very wrong if you.
Oh my gosh, yes.
That's so good. So Matt, you want to ask the next question?
Yeah. So I get the next two questions, which are two of my favorite questions. So if I gave you $1,000 right now and you had to buy something in the photo industry, what would you buy?
Oh my gosh. So something that I have been wanting to buy. So if you actually really gave me $1,000, I would probably run out and buy a drone. And I know that seems so crazy because it's like nothing that I do. I don't do videos at all. But there's something really intriguing about that, what a drone can capture that I just would love to one day when I find the time, work that somehow into my work and do videos. I love videos. I think there's so much more that you can capture. And I mean, you can tell a story with photographs as well, but videos just take it to a whole nother level. And drones, I just think I mean, what they can do is incredible. What they can capture is incredible. So that's definitely what I would go out and buy.
Yeah, that's a really cool answer. Okay, so the second part of the question is, if I gave you that $1,000 right now, what would you not buy in the photo industry? So some of this is like kind of advice for our audience as well, but what would you not buy with the $1,000?
Well, I would definitely not buy another lens. Because I'm really guilty for having way too many. I think we all do that too. I think we think, that we need every single lens there is to offer because of everything that it can do. But really, I mean, I probably shoot with like 2 lenses. And
which lenses?
Oh, so my go-to lens is I've kind of changed it over the last few months, but my go-to lens is my 50. And it actually is like the cheap 50, like Canon.
1.4.
It's a 1.4. Yeah, I've shot with the. I do own all L glasses, but that's my one that isn't, and it's the one that I love, and I don't know what it is about it, but I just love the angles and whatnot I can get with the 50. And then my other go-to lens is my 135. Is a 2.0.
Oh, really?
Yes, I love that lens. I started my business with a 70 to 200 f4, so it was like not the greatest thing in the world, but I got it because I was, I had Googled how to shoot, sports photography because that was kind of what I had got my camera to do with my son. So that's what I started with, and then upgraded from there, obviously, to the 2.8, and it just is a really heavy lens. And then when I came across the 135, it just is this beautiful, soft, dreamy compression that you get with it. So kind of similar to the 70 to 200, but a lot lighter and a fraction of the price. So
yeah.
When I looked at your images, I could definitely tell you were shooting, like a longer lens with shallow depth of field.
Yeah.
And I didn't quite know what it was. And my guess, which was wrong, because I didn't know. I thought maybe Sigma just came out with, I'm looking it up right now, but it's an art lens, and it's like 50 to 100, 1.8 or something like that. So yeah,
Wait
it's a
a
little bit
minute.
longer, but
Ooh,
shallow.
maybe we'll look at my lens.
Yeah,
That's funny. Okay. So next question is, what is the best advice you've received?
Oh, best advice I would say that I've received is that you define your own success. And I think that's so important because I think, when you're first starting out, you're looking at everybody that's, in the photo world, and you're comparing and you're feeling like you're just, not good enough, but you have to define your own success. Like if you are happy with, 10 clients a month making $10,000, a year or whatever, like that's your success. Somebody else might be, maybe they want to shoot 300 clients, a year, which is insane. But, if that's what they want, don't feel like just because somebody is shooting 100 times more than you that they are more successful, because that's not true at all. And I have people that are like, oh, I just want to be like you. I want my schedule to fill up every spring and just be booked for the year. And I'm like, but I only shoot 34 seniors. I mean, it's different than somebody who's, trying to book 100 seniors. So yeah, I mean, that's probably the best advice I've ever gotten. And with everything I do, I just have to remember that, I get to determine that. So
that's awesome. Okay, so I found it. It's a 50 to 100, 1.8.
Ooh, I'll have to look at
but
it.
I think you're so right. Like, I think whatever stories you tell yourself in your head, like they just become self-fulfilling, right? And so if you can tell yourself, like, I'm successful doing exactly what I'm doing right now, I think you'll lean into it more and actually find more success, as well as just like not spend all this energy staying up late at night or sitting at your desk worried that other things are, getting in the way.
Right.
Like you said, like if someone else is shooting 300 sessions a year, like that they're more successful than
yes. Yeah. And I mean, we all know, like, social media for sure. There's so much perfection on there. And I think, it's so easy to kind of get caught up in it all and really start to like doubt yourself, but you just can't. You just can't,
Yeah.
because you don't know what somebody else's life is like on the other side of that cell phone or computer or whatnot. So
Right.
they may be showing you the perfect them, but you have no idea what's happening in their life. And,
Yeah.
and I've seen it firsthand. So it's just, we can't compare ourselves, and we can't try to live up to, somebody else that we admire. I think you can.
Well, and the other thing I think you got to do is just be self-aware of like how you view success for yourself as well.
Mhm.
And so so one of my best friends, Ross, and I talk, we have like a standing phone call every week, and we talk about, and one of the things that actually makes us feel more successful, and we're trying to get away from this, is like the amount of volume we do.
Mhm.
Right.
Right.
So we would really struggle if we were just waiting for one phone call a week, to book a $10,000 client. Like
Mhm.
we'd really struggle with that.
Yeah.
Like it may be a better business model, but like those 6 days would just be like mental exercise and just pure worriness. And so sometimes I think you got to find, what makes you happy and stuff, but then also say, okay, well, I actually need to do this much work to be happy, to feel successful, or I don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I have a girlfriend who loves to shoot. She just loves it. She can shoot all day long, every day of the week, but that works for her, And I think,
Yeah.
I can't look at her business and think, oh, I must suck because I'm only shooting, 4 clients a week or 3 clients a week. You just can't, because she loves it. I don't. I mean, I love I love shooting, but if I had to do it every single day, all day long, I wouldn't do it. I just wouldn't do it. I would lose my creativity, and my approach on photography is just at least it's different, and for me, and I would lose my creativity so fast if I had to shoot that much.
Yeah, exactly. But on the flip end, like Ross and I, if we don't shoot enough,
Yeah.
we, like then the self-doubt creeps in. So it's really interesting. So I think it's about self-awareness for sure. And like you said, just stop looking what everybody else
Yeah,
is doing.
for sure.
Okay. So what is one personal habit you think contributes to your success?
Oh, I am I'm very detail oriented for sure. And I'm a people pleaser. So I think those two things for sure have really made my business successful. I don't promise what you can't deliver. I mean, that's something I, tell my mentorships all the time is, be sure that something that you promise your clients you can deliver, and treating every client like they are your number one client every time. It doesn't matter if they have been a pain in your butt, or if they they're not going to be your top paying client. You have to treat every client like they are your top client, and just giving that, being really detailed oriented, making sure that my clients are, really well educated, and then just following through and delivering a great experience for them, and obviously great portraits for sure. I mean, I think those qualities are some of the reasons why my business has been as successful as it has been the last 6 years.
So one of the other things I think, tell me if this is true. I'm just picking this up. I mean, like I said, we didn't know you much before this, but I think you're also you're very self-aware, but you're what's the word I'm looking for? Like you also know what you want. Is that fair to say? Like when you're talking about yourself, like there's no shame. You're just like, I am this person. There's no shame in it. And this is what I do.
Right. Yeah. And, and I've been like that since I was a child. My parents probably didn't love it, but
Are you the oldest?
I am the oldest. But I think for me, I do. I mean, I feel like I know what I want. I know what I want to go after. And you can't let anybody else change your mind on that. I mean, you're the only person responsible for your happiness is yourself. So whether that's, business or in personal life or whatever. And that's just who I am as a person, and then who I am as a photographer. So.
Yeah, that's great. So we want to know, when we're all done, we want to know more about your internet resources and things, but do you have any suggestions for people of a resource where they can go and enhance their photography?
Oh, well, there's so many out there. I mean, obviously my go-to was always Google, but YouTube is obviously a huge one. I think we all know about YouTube. And then there are other, platforms like Creative Live. I think everybody knows about that too. Sue Bryce, she has a great platform, and I was not a member of her education platform, but she has recently just invited me to go and speak. So I am actually heading out there in a few weeks to present to her students, and so I've been given access to it, and it's great. It's a great platform. I mean, the stuff that she has on there is wonderful, and she has things that are great for beginners and for photographers who, maybe are really successful and just want to, try different things. So that's great. But another one that I feel like is just kind of creeping, and people don't really know about it, or maybe people know about it but aren't really using it, is Instagram TV. I'm noticing a lot of photographers really taking advantage of that, and maybe they don't even know it yet, but it's free education, and there's a lot you can pick up on Instagram TV that can help benefit you. So if you're not checking those out, you definitely should. I don't have a channel yet myself, but it's basically like your Insta story, but it's longer, and then they basically just kind of clip it. I don't know if you guys use it, but kind of clip it together.
I've made a couple of videos for it, and I just took them down because I was like, I don't know if they're really doing me any good or not. So that's interesting to hear that you're liking it. That's good.
Yeah. I think, it's like anything else, right? I mean, remember when Instagram kind of Instagram's been around for a long time, but when it started, was really being introduced to the photography industry, and we're all like, I don't know about Instagram. And then now it's like the number one, social media platform to be on. So I think it's just like anything else, I mean, I think it's going to take time, but I think there's definitely some great potential there.
Awesome. Okay. So is there a book that you recommend to our audience to read, or one that really influenced your life or business?
Okay. So something you guys don't know about me is I hate reading.
I know, Matt, we need to change this to say, are you a reader? If so.
So anybody that knows me knows that I hate reading, and I actually really enjoy just quietness. And so I don't listen to audiobooks. I don't listen to the radio. I don't turn on the TV, nothing. I literally sit in silence, which is, I know, crazy, but that's just me. And I've never been a reader. So I unfortunately don't have a book that I can recommend.
But you like to learn by looking, like by watching videos, Googling things, that kind of thing is how
Yeah. I mean, for me, I mean, that's kind of how I taught myself, even editing. Like I would literally just Google like how to sharpen image, or how to sharpen eyes, or, how to print with lab. I mean, I literally Googled my way through the first year. Yeah. So that's kind of how I learned. And I'm a hands-on person. Like I've always been a hands-on learner. So, trying to read something it just doesn't sink in for me. So being able to watch something on YouTube is a whole different thing for me. It's like hands-on, but not hands-on, So yeah, I definitely need visual. I'm just a visual learner.
Yeah, that's great. So what we would want to know is where people can find you online, or if anything that you're doing that you want people to know about, and then a parting piece of guidance.
So you can find me. I'm mainly on Instagram. It's True Moua Photography, and I was formerly True Creative Portraits, and I just rebranded. So that's why it's now back to True Moua Photography. My website is truemoua.com. The next big thing I think I already kind of talked about is heading out to Las Vegas, or not Las Vegas. I'm sorry, heading out to LA and doing an education thing with Sue Bryce. So that's really exciting for me.
Very.
And
then you guys, you have your own podcast too,
yeah.
right?
So I have a podcast with 3 other photographers: Holly True, Jolene Dombrowski, and Brittany Cluse. It's called Certified Madness. You can find us on Spotify or iTunes, and then you can find us on our website too. It's Deconstructed, or I think it's Get Deconstructed now, but yeah, and that's just just kind of almost like a recorded reality TV kind of thing, but. And then I, offer mentorships and stuff like that as well. And you can find all of that on my website. But yeah.
Yeah. So then just share some parting guidance with our audience, just kind of sum it up, or just anything you could tell them.
Oh, sure. I mean, if I had any advice at all for any of you guys. I think I've kind of repeated this over and over in this podcast, but really it's just digging deep and finding like who you are and what makes you different from everybody else, and stop following every trend that shows up on Instagram. Because I noticed that in the industry world, especially in senior photography, or maybe it's just, the group that I'm following or the people that I'm following, but I see that, a trend comes about and all of a sudden everybody's jumping on it and implementing it into their business. But that isn't what makes you different. And so I think you just need to find who you are as a creator and why it is that you do what you do and why you love it. And then just continue to do that and don't ever feel like that isn't good enough. I mean, if I started changing, who I was, I just don't feel like I'd be the same photographer, and it'd be harder. I mean, I've tried that before. I think we all have when we're, trying to learn, is you try different things, and you'll quickly find that it's a lot harder to do something that isn't truly you. So yeah, just being true to who you are and just keep hustling.
All right.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much, True, for being on our podcast today. And we hope you have a great trip out to LA. And we look forward to seeing all of your upcoming travels and photo shoots.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to From Nothing to Profit, a photographer's podcast with Matt and Kaya. Be sure to subscribe for more business strategy and ideas to help you create the profitable and successful business you've always wanted. See you on the next episode of From Nothing to Profit.